Hello, everybody. Oh, it's so exciting. Guys, we have the amazing, the wonderful, the powerful Danielle C. Giddings here, and I'm so excited. She is going to share with us some her amazing story on her journey in freedom. And I just can't wait just to get into this. First and foremost, I am Ebony Vaughan. For those of you who don't know, of Triple G Live God Grind, we are overcoming every obstacle. We are slaying every giant, and we are walking in our God-given authority and assignment on earth. And I am so excited to be here. I believe that this story of freedom and triumph is all about Triple G living. It is all about us being who God says that we are. So I am going to introduce, glory to God. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
My glasses
Triple G Studios.
Yes, welcome to Triple G Living Studios.
Yes. It is fabulous in here.
So, Danielle, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into our show today.
Okay. So I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to share this to my page. I'm not down to all of this, that technical stuff. Choose how to share. Okay. So did that mean to share it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, so I am Danielle C. Giddens. I am the owner of a new author, and I'm excited. Woo! That's number one. I am a mother, grandmother, a virtuous woman. I am the owner and partner of one of the owners and partners of a Virtuous Touch Salon and Spa. I've been in the hair industry for the last 23 years. I have two daughters, I have two grandkids, and I'm excited to be a new author because um, I wrote the book to inspire my daughters because I had journals, and those journals I wrote in them, and I said that I was going to save them to give to my daughters. But in one point of my life, I was reading through them, and I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, I can't give these to my daughters because it was like me looking in a mirror."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I went nuts. So I couldn't even imagine. So the Holy Spirit was like, you can write a book and you can teach them from a mature perspective and a perspective of wisdom. And so that was my reasoning. I wrote the book. I was inspired to write my memoir for my daughters, but I wrote it for God's daughters. All of the young kids that are out here that were like myself, that didn't have guidance. They either were parentless or they had parents that were on drugs, that suffer from some type of abandonment, that live in poverty stricken areas, grew up in the projects. I wrote the book for those people. And even men, I wrote the book for men to understand what their daughters are going through. I wrote the book for them to understand how, a father being absent from their, lives will actually play a part in how that would affect them. So, that was my reasoning for doing this. And I'm excited for all of the people that pushed me.
Awesome. As you were talking, one of the things that I thought about is just how so important it is for us to not only live our story, but also to tell our story and then to help others out.
Yes.
And I think that that is so much of what this is about. It's really about you reaching back and pulling other people. And I think that That is the amazing part. And it is a God thing.
It's
You
a
know,
God.
God led you through
Yes.
everything that you
Yes.
went through in order for you to get to this place, which is one of the reasons why we have from pain, power, and purpose, right?
Yes.
Because the reality is we do have pain in
Mhm.
our lives, but God uses that pain to really pour into us power.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. When did you feel that? And we don't always feel it, you know, we don't always have a spiritual understanding of that power
Right.
that we experience, but I believe that we can experience it in our own way, as a child, as a teenager. Tell us a little bit about that power and how it got you through your life.
Um, so I mean, in the journey, and you'll read this in the book, but in the journey, Christianity has always played a part in my life as far as my great grandmother and my grandmother on my father's side. So, sometimes I might have thought that I was far from it, but I wasn't.
My
And
grandmother.
there are times where you know, didn't, it was like I didn't know God at all. But because of their prayers over me, it was just, there was just always this force that when I got to this, it's like when I got to this point, it was just like I'm a curve it. I'm gonna curve her. And so I always felt like that's how God was on my journey. Like I never knew when he was gonna redirect me, but he always redirected me. And in him redirecting me, I remember me being in my first ministry that taught me so much.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that ministry where you learn all of this sanctification process, and everything about that was the first ministry I felt like, okay, I'm really gonna be serious about God. And one day, I don't know what it was or when it was, but I heard this song, and it was Shekinah Glory called Yes.
Yes. Oh, that is the
And I don't know if
song.
somebody sang to it or
Mm-hmm.
if they danced to it. But from that day forward, that song became my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was like every time I got into a situation or a place where I had to let people go,
Mm-hmm.
where I felt like I was, broken, or I was just so distraught about whatever the situation was. I was always in my car crying and
Mm-hmm.
singing this song. Like I know all of the words. That's how many times I sang
Mm-hmm.
this song. And so,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think about. It's like songs have always been a part of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew what I was saying yes to.
Yes.
It was like I had this pain and I never knew what I was saying yes to, but it's like on every level, God always revealed to me what that yes was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just surrendering to him.
Mm.
And so over the process of my life, I've learned how to surrender to God on every level.
Mm.
And now I feel like, this book was a part of me saying, like, that's a big yes. Because,
Mm.
nobody wants the curtains to open,
Yeah.
about their life.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the deep and dark stuff to come out.
Yeah.
And there were times when I thought I was finished writing this book. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm finished. I think I even texted you one
Yeah.
time, like,
Yeah.
I'm finished. And I went on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my husband were sitting on the beach. We woke up early in the morning, like, let's go watch the sunrise. We
Mm-hmm.
were on the beach, sitting on the beach, and it was like, just praying. He was walking in the water praying. I was sitting on the chair just praying. And God just took me back to this place that I was gonna bury and take to the grave with me.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, nobody ever was gonna know anything about it.
Okay.
It was going with me down in the grave.
So you say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
So
say.
I said.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm
you
like,
say.
I'm on vacation. What am I thinking about this for? And literally, he gave me this whole chapter
Mm-hmm.
that was missing. And the one part that helped was because um, the editor I was trying to hurry up and finish before I went on vacation. And the editor said, you mentioned your husband at the end, but we never even met your husband. Like, it's a whole chapter missing here. And I think that in my mind, I was separating my life, the good life, from all of this stuff that I had wrote. And I was like, I don't think I want my husband to be a part of this. But I mean, it's part of my purpose. He is a part of my purpose. He had to be a part of the book. And so that was God on the beach at Cancun connecting me from that little point to, okay, connecting to your husband. And so I was just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna say yes.
And there goes that yes again. You know, that just kind of makes me think of how, like, I think that every person can identify times in their lives when they felt the pulling of something but did not know what it is. And that's all a part of our purpose. And now, as you are coming out and you are sharing all of this information that is painful, but yet it's powerful, right? And it's purposeful. So the part of it that is the part that connects it, the pain that connects to your power and the power that connects to your purpose. When you think of, you know, those middle places, right? You know what I'm saying? Because that's a mom in between, that middle place, right? From the pain to the power, right? And I was thinking about one of your videos, guys. You guys have to look at her actual commercials. They like
1 minute commercials.
Yes, 1 minute commercials, but they're powerful. But what I was just thinking about and connecting my thoughts to that is you did one of your videos was of you standing in front of, I think, your old apartment. That right there. I mean, it just, I don't know why that touched me the way it did, you know, but it's almost like this is where it started or this is where it ended, you know. And sometimes it's difficult for us to go back to pictures, to go back to painful places, right? But you were able to go back and really connect that to where you are now. What did that place mean to you? Now I'm digging for me. That when you took that picture in front of that apartment, what was that like?
Okay, so we actually shot those commercials in the same day.
Okay.
The night before, I probably I just was like a mess. A mess. Like, it was like I had to rehearse the lines. And rehearsing the lines was like, it's one thing to write about something, because this book was part of my healing process also, because some of the stuff that I spoke about, I had never told anybody. I wound up telling, I had many conversations with the one person that mean the world to me, that I felt like needed to know all of the details so that it wouldn't hit them by surprise. And that was my grandmother. And so there were times where I went to talk to her about those things. But that day I talked to her after those videos, because I needed, when I go to my grandmother's house, I need comfort. It's like, it was like I was raw. It was like I knew that I was preparing to be raw. And I had to start repeating this stuff. So to write it is one thing. But to repeat it in a mirror and constantly like repeat it, it's just like, you know, whoo, you know, that was the day I wrote on my Facebook page, these contractions are getting intense. And that's how I felt. I felt like it was intense. But God has helped me on this journey, because the guy that helped me producing these videos also was the guy that, you know, took my vision and put the moving parts together with my childhood home, you know, the sign and all of that. He put it all in one photo. So that was God using, like, he told me everybody that I needed to connect with. And so his name is Milton Lawrence. and he's a great photographer and creative
Awesome.
agency.
Awesome.
So he was a great producer
Hmm.
because he wouldn't let me. I tried to punk out on that first video.
Okay. And this is the first one.
The first one at the house where I was talking about molestation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when we first sat down for pre-production, I tried to punk out because he was like, so what does that mean? Because I was like, he was like, what's your first one about? I was like, oh, I got introduced to lust. That's a nice way to say it. He was like, oh, okay. And how did that happen? And I was like, he was like, listen, we need to go straight to the point. Stop all and we don't need no fluff and such and
Yes,
such.
yes.
And I was like, oh well, I can talk about drugs.
Hmm.
He was like, no, why you running from it? I need you to come back. This is what we gonna talk about. He was like, you wrote it down, we gonna talk about it. And so, that was I was like, okay, but I got off the phone with him, and that was another process of me processing through, oh, you're about to do this.
Mm.
Like this is
Wow.
about to happen. And
Wow.
so, that was probably I did the hardest video first.
Okay.
And once we got through that video and then we moved on to the next one, um, it wasn't hard for me. It wasn't hard for me to go back to that place.
Okay.
When I went back to my apartment, I felt like, wow, like I'm not here anymore. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that little girl. I'm not the little naive girl. But after I did the video, what I felt was all of the little girls
Mm-hmm.
that were in the same situation that
Mm-hmm.
I was in. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of the little girls that won't have anybody to set them up to so that they won't deviate
Mm-hmm.
from, being with somebody like that, or deviate from, just chasing money throughout
Mm-hmm.
life because they are in poverty. And so that's what made me realize, like, it don't matter what you just said on these videos. It don't matter who gonna
Mm-hmm.
feel some kind of way. It don't matter who is gonna affect. The people that I'm trying to infect are the young girls
Yeah.
that need to know that this is not gonna end well for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I had to lie with the other young lady, like it didn't end well for her, because the guy she was messing with got killed.
Mm-hmm.
The girl I was in jail with, it didn't end well with her because she wound up in jail, for something that he did.
Mm-hmm.
And so that might not have been my specific situation,
That's right.
but it was just the fact that you could have a different mindset when you become one with this person. And eventually your mindset will change and become one with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you thought and all of the wisdom you had, and um, everything that you try not to be a part of,
Mm-hmm.
because I left my childhood home thinking it's too much drugs here.
Yeah.
I don't want to raise my daughter in a place where it get raided all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left to go create a different life and created the same life.
Mm-hmm.
And so me at that apartment was a victory place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was strange to be back there,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a joy for me to be back there and not be in the same
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, and I think that that is so important because, and again, I would really encourage every one of you that is watching to see her other lives that really continues to kind of take you through every part of her story. But just to go back, you experience sexual abuse, you experience significant trauma,
Mhm.
whether it was by you or witnessing it. This
Mhm.
is a part of your life.
Mhm.
And the reason why I asked you about what you felt like when you was standing in front of that apartment is that oftentimes what we have been through, you know, it almost is who we become.
Mhm.
And so part of our freedom, part of our healing journey has to do with recreating something.
Mhm.
Now, we're not recreating something from scratch, but we are restoring what God intended originally.
Mhm.
So, talk to us about your restoration process and what it looks like. One thing that we know without a shadow of a doubt is that freedom never stops, right? Healing never stops.
Yes.
But your process, how are you being strengthened and becoming who God has ordained for you to become?
Okay. So this is a little snippet from the book, but I remember the one thing that I always loved about at the moment, it might have been a dysfunctional relationship, but um, my daughter and her father have always been friends, and we
Mm-hmm.
laughed a lot. And so I remember one time calling him like crying, like I just need to figure this out. Like I'm not good with relationships. They not none of them are working out. I need to go to the library and get a book. And we both bust out laughing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it seemed like it was crazy. But the minute I spoke it, it was like, oh, I can
Mm-hmm.
go to a book. I can go to the store. And so I was crying when I was like, let me get off this phone with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got off the phone, I just continued to cry. And then I realized we have a Christian bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to the Christian bookstore, I think that next day. And I was like, I'm going to walk around until I figure out or find something that's going to help me with all of the things
Mm-hmm.
that my family didn't have the capacity to help me with.
Absolutely.
And so when you understand that, it's like you always expecting your parents or the people in your family to give you something. Like I need them, y'all, you my parent, you my
Mm-hmm.
mother, you my aunt. Like I expect y'all to give
Mm-hmm.
me some wisdom that I
Mm-hmm.
don't have or I never had. And so when you realize that they can give you that information, you accept it and then you move forward. And so me accepting them for who they were was one of the things that I had to do
Mm-hmm.
so that I wouldn't, get to a place where, it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
That I wouldn't constantly expect them to give me something that they didn't know how to give me.
Absolutely.
And so they didn't have the capacity. So I went to a Christian bookstore. I walked around, and one of the things that I got a book about was, sexual edification. And
Mm-hmm.
it was I didn't realize it was in the bookstore. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yes,
God.
yes, yes, yeah.
And that's what I needed
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, I only knew love from a lustful place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to know love from a pure place, the place that God intended for me to know
Mm-hmm.
love. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got a book about that in relationships. But the other thing is that I was in it was 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
I was in California, and this pastor, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, I would people hear stories. I was like, oh, they not gonna push me on the floor. I ain't going up there. So I was at the church with one of my mentors,
Mm-hmm.
and we was just sitting there, and the man was praying over people, and I was like, I am not getting up there. I was adamant. It
Mm-hmm.
was like I was defiant that I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't get up and walk it. And
Mm-hmm.
before you knew it, before the service was over, or what before they finished praying for people, I was at the altar, and the
Mm-hmm.
man was praying over me,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Oh my gosh, you're like Esther." And he put his hand on me as he started praying. I don't remember nothing, but I know it felt like God lifted me up and laid me out. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like nobody pushed me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't even believe that I was even on the floor. So I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But because we are stuck
Mm-hmm.
there during 9/11, we actually took the train. We took the bus back, and it was like the
Okay.
weekend after. So I read the book of Esther
Mm-hmm.
that whole trip back to Baltimore because I needed to understand who was he referring to me as and what did he see me. I was trying to figure that all out. And for me, just starting to meditate on God's word and look at it, and it was just that one book. I was meditating on it and looking at it. I wind up going to Proverbs 31. And when I read that, I thought to myself, this is it. This is the example of a woman for me because I didn't see it, because I, didn't grow up around it, because I might have had bits and pieces, but the entire thing was, this is the kind of woman that I need to become. And
That's
from that
good.
day forth was my journey of becoming the woman God saw me as, and not the woman that I had, or the young girl that I had become in a whirlwind of lust and pain and brokenness. So that journey was a long journey, but I'm here.
And that it kind of brings me to that question of the way, that thought of the way that we see ourselves, because that's the other part, because we go through so much trauma, we are broken, we are bruised, and it's almost like we see ourselves through those lenses, and it's a journey for us just to see ourselves as healed. You know what I mean? Like, when was that moment when you said, thank you, God, for healing me? Because we don't always know it, even when we're healed, because we're so stuck in the broken mindset. And I think that that's what I want to talk about a little bit, because I think that there's so many people that God has touched and God has really healed, but because their mindset hasn't changed, they don't walk in it, and they don't actually experience it.
Right. The one thing that I learned in being broken, because I feel like I experience it a lot. We experience it over and over again in different situations. Um, I I believe that in embracing that brokenness, you don't stay there. You grieve it, and you understand that you have to embrace change, whether that means it broke for a reason, it broke for two people to fix something, or it broke for you to fix something.
Absolutely.
Whatever reason it broke, at that point it becomes a process of me trying to figure that out from God, like not other people. Other people can't help me out with me understanding that aspect or that part of that brokenness. It's like okay, I'm like, okay, God, why am I here? And that's where I journal heavy, because it's not about, my husband can't give me the answer, my friends can't give me the answer. I could talk to them about it, but really it's just about me and God.
Absolutely.
And so in that place, I, allow myself to feel the way that I feel. And then once I get through that aspect of it, I just know that I have to forgive. I have learned to forgive even when I don't want to. There's some people that I still want to hold a grudge. Like, I still might look at them a little kind of way. And I'll be like, God, I'm sorry. I got something still in here, some residue. But I have learned to forgive people.
Absolutely. That's so important.
Because forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. And I think that because I have learned to forgive people a lot faster than I have before in the past, I believe that I take my power back. That it's like God is like, okay, you realize how many times I forgave you for all of your discretions. And so because God gave me forgiveness, I have to give other people forgiveness. And so with that, I feel like once I get into that process of forgiveness, it's kind of like, yeah, I make a conscious decision that no person, no place, or no thing will keep me from what God has for me and me walking in my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that has been the most significant thing when it comes to me, journeying through that pain and just letting it go.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, and I say this so much in my practice with those that I work with, whenever you are embarking upon freedom or whenever you are embarking upon your healing process, it's going to cost you something. And a lot of times people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand that in order for you to heal, in order for you to go through your journey of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
something must be sacrificed.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have to sacrifice our pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we want to hold it. We
Yeah.
want to wear it
Yeah.
every day.
We do.
But guess what? And why do we want to wear it every day? Because it's a part of our identity.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about identities is that they are fluid and they are oftentimes removable. So our identity can be in the way that what we wear. It can
Mm-hmm.
be in our jobs. It could
Mm-hmm.
be in so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And so being a victim,
Yes.
being a sexual assault victim,
Yes.
that is an identity.
Yes.
And we walk through that with life, but
Mm-hmm.
through your process of healing and freedom, you're not a victim.
Mm-mm.
Right? You're a victor.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the identity that we have to take on, but we have to change our mindset, right?
Yes.
In order for us to get to that place where we're not going through life as an abused woman,
Yes.
as a
Yes.
scorned woman,
Yes.
right? Because it's real
It
easy,
is. It is.
for us to go through life as a scorned woman.
A scorned woman, a scorned friend, a scorned
Yes.
everything, a scorned believer. It
Yes.
can show up in every aspect of your life. And it brings me to that scripture, vengeance is mine, saith the
Yes,
Lord.
yes.
It's like, every now and then, I'm from the hood.
Mm-hmm. I'm from the hood.
She from the hood. Every now and then, yes. You have to fight. You have to fight it down. Like, you can feel it coming up. When people take you to that place, and and it could be a something from the past. It could be the same person. And you just like, really, are we still dealing with you? And it's just, are you still here? And you have to realize, and you have to keep a level head that, like I had to tell my daughters, listen, everybody not gonna like this book.
Yes, yes.
It's my story.
Your story.
It's my truth.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, everybody ain't come to grips with their past
Yeah.
and the truth of their past.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, everybody not gonna like. I mean,
That's
just
right.
the title itself is, making
Mhm.
people a little nervous.
Yeah.
And so, but it ain't about them. God
That's
gave me an
right.
assignment, and this is about helping our future to not repeat the generational curses that we've gone through, to not repeat the brokenness, the damage, to not even have to journey through, having kids and going to prison, to not have to journey through, okay, I might be parentless, but I have a God that is my father.
Yeah.
And that he will supply you a parent on earth to help and guide you through, the stuff that you need to go through. They might not be your parent, but he going to give you what you need at the level of where you are. He always meets you at the level of your need. And so, I always realize I'm being an example to my daughters every day. And so, I say, I don't respond to foolishness.
Yeah.
And it's nothing that I can do about that, but I'm focused on what God gave me and the assignment, and that's it.
And I think the other thing, in understanding that is whenever we tell our story, there are casualties. And the reality is it's not a negative thing, because what it shows is that maybe they're still in their journey, right? And so that's where the forgiveness comes in. That's where your focus is on God and on your assignment and not on them, because we all have a day of, some may say a day of reckoning when that time comes, when you have to face whatever you've done. The other thing that I thought about when you said, when you described how this book is for those that are coming from, that are behind you, that have to go forward. The other thing that I believe, and I can even say this in my life as well, when you expose, right? When you expose your past, when you expose the secrets and the things that you said you were going to take to the grave, you disarm the enemy.
Yes.
So not only do you disarm, and when I say the enemy could be ourselves, the enemy could be that deceptive one, or it could be those that want to look at you in the light of, I know you win. You know what I mean? So sometimes, not sometimes, all of the time, when we say yes, God will allow us to open ourselves up as a book so that others can read. Right. And so the reality is, you are disarming all of that, because ain't no see what you looking at me. You looking at me because I was what? Yeah, that's what I was. It's in the book. It's in the book.
I tell my story better than you can.
Absolutely. And it's so important for us to say that, because how many of us, those that are watching, or even us, how many times have we lived in condemnation and guilt because because of something that we know we did, but nobody else know. And the thing about it is that the thing that a lot of times people don't understand about trauma, when you have difficulty developing intimate relationships with people, oftentimes it's because you really don't want people to get close to you to know what's really in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't want you to know what's in these eyes. Don't look at me too hard. Don't look at me too hard, because there's some stuff
out of the closet, bones.
and it's almost like you're looking like, does he or she see that? Do they see that? And so when you tell your story, it disarms. It really disarms and exposes, and it lifts up that feeling of shame and embarrassment, and that feeling of being convicted for things that you are no longer, but we kind of still live in it. So I believe that those are so important for us to remember, especially those that are watching now that may be living in secrets. The other part about it is, there was a season for you to tell your story. So that's the other thing. Now, I could say from my, in my testimony, that one of the mistakes I made in sharing my complete story was I told it out of season into the wrong people. You know what I mean? And one thing is that when you start telling your story, God equips you. God equips you for it, and he gives you the strength to endure and the wisdom for what to say and when to say it. Right. And some things, and one of the things that you talked about is how when you wrote that book, you shared some things with people that were close to you beforehand, so that they can know about it, so that you're not exposing so that because what are you doing? You're still creating bridges and maintaining relationships. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is important. And it's also important, if you are worried about how people are going to look at you, and if you are worried about being persecuted as a result of your testimony, don't tell it. You ain't ready, right? You're not ready. And I mean, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And we looking at each other with wide eyes. You ain't ready. And it's not a bad, and that's not a bad thing.
Yes.
And I'm saying that to say that there was some things that I said, in my, as I uncovered my, story. And, people have their tendency to give interpretations of your story. And, well, you still there, you still got this, you
Right.
still, and you could get hurt by that.
Yeah,
You
can.
could get in your feelings and then lose really what God is trying to do,
Yes.
because now you're focused on them.
Yes.
And so that's why I said that timing means a lot.
Yes.
Because if you're not equipped,
yes.
then don't do it.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. and you're right, because I've been a people pleaser all my life. I thank God that God delivered me from people. But when you don't know who you are,
Absolutely.
and you're
That's
trying
key.
to figure out who you are, you will be in business to please people.
Absolutely.
Because you want them to, the one thing about abandonment is that you don't want them to leave you.
Yeah.
That's number one. You know what it feels like when people leave you. So you don't want them to leave you. You want everybody to like you. You get into this thing where, you just want everybody to please you from a certain point. And so, I always been a people pleaser. And the day God delivered me from that, I don't remember when, but it's been a minute, but I'm grateful. So I had a client, I call her my godmother. She was like, I just want to make sure you're gonna be okay with everything. I was like, hey, I don't care what nobody say.
Absolutely.
I don't care. This is a me and God thing.
And that is really what I was driving at when I said timing is everything.
Yes.
Because it's really about maturity and
Yes.
you resting in God in this assignment. We have a right to tell anybody whatever we want to tell them
Yes.
for, but you need to be prepared
Yes.
for whatever comes with that. And when we're in God, it's not about us being prepared, but it's really about resting in Him and allowing the work to kind of flow through Him. So tell us a little bit about what you do now.
What you mean what I do?
What you do? You're an entrepreneur. you
So okay, yes. Okay,
yes.
I get what you're saying. Right. Okay.
She has evolved into this amazing entrepreneur and coach. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I've always had, my when I had a business divorce, and we separated, it was like this journey back to, I want to get my own salon. I want to get my own salon. I want to be back to the place that was familiar to me. And so that's when I birthed a Virtuous Touch Salon and Spa. And amazing. I birthed it as a salon and spa because I knew that I was going to grow to the spa part. And so, it started out with just me. And I went on this journey of, learning, going to retreats, just over educating myself, learning about all of the things that was going to help me get to a different place, like finances, just business, mentorship, building teams. And I learned it from different places. Some things I got from, the hair show, some things I got from, ministry, but it was all in the confines of me growing to another level. And so when last year during the pandemic, when God elevated us and we finally got to that vision that I had for owning my own salon and, becoming a salon and spa, actually manifested. And it manifested with my youngest daughter because she and I became partners and merged together in 2018. And so I am not only in business, not by myself, but I'm in business with my youngest daughter to leave a legacy. And so in me mentoring her and mentoring all the other young girls in the salon, I wanted to create this mentorship program where I help other stylists to either build their businesses, to build a sustainable business and career in our industry. And then also, to help them where I saw me in them. I could see, I could see or realize a point in their lives where I knew why God put them in a salon with me,
Mm.
because he needed me as the virtuous woman to, provide and fill in and as not only a mentor, but just have the spiritual wisdom to be able to pour in them
Mm.
for what they were missing in
Yeah.
some aspect of the girl that I was in this book,
Mm-hmm.
showed up. And so it's not just about business, me pushing them to become their um, just their greatest selves, their greatest beings,
Mm-hmm.
but then also for me helping them to heal,
Mm.
within inside of them those things that they've had a problem with over the years as young girls. And so that's one of the things that made me start the Bankable Beauty Professional, because not only did I want to help the girls that were in our salon, I wanted to help other business owners that are out here, because the suites are taken over.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of solopreneurs inside of those suites, but the way they do business is from an aspect of business does not exist.
Yeah.
And so I launched the Bankable Beauty Professional to help those that were in need. I was able to coach, I would say probably about 10 people,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the pandemic or during the time. But um, I think it's the aspect of if you don't, you have to first be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think you need something, you don't know that something is wrong, then you don't think that you need it, and then you don't think that you know you need somebody to help you with something.
Okay.
And so I feel like the people that really need it didn't actually take advantage of it. But I just continue to utilize it for people now within my clientele,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of my clients are actually launching businesses.
Okay.
And so now I feel like, I've actually been sewing into them, from that aspect, and, working with them
Mm-hmm.
with the mentorship. So it started out as I thought it was just for the beauty industry, but it's actually also for those creative, for those people that God placed in, my just placed in my life, period, as far as like clients just launching out and becoming entrepreneurs for the first time.
Awesome. And that's all about kingdom. And one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you, like, what are you doing now, is because we're talking about from pain, right, to
Yeah.
prison to
To purpose.
purpose. And it's really about your journey of becoming and where you are now, and everything that you've experienced in life, everything that you have been intentional about learning and grasping,
Yeah.
you are equipped to
Yes.
really minister not only on an intellectual level, but also just from your experiences, you're able to help somebody
Yes.
not only in their personal lives, but in their in the marketplace, in the
Yes.
business world.
Yes.
Yes, that's what
Yes.
I'm talking about. She said yes.
Yes.
Yes. So how can people get in contact with you?
Okay, so I just want to share this one tip. Actually,
Okay.
not a tip,
No,
but the
go ahead.
last thing
Uh-huh.
that I wanted to say to that question. I knew that I wanted to be able to. Okay, so there are two things that I used to do. I used to go to the prison. One of my pastors got me in the prison
Yeah.
to talk to the women in the
Mm-hmm.
prison. And so I found joy in that, because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, I wanted to be the example, like, I'm no different from y'all. Like, let's draw this connection
Yes,
first.
that's
I'm
it.
no different from y'all. Everybody is just one decision away
I know
from
that's
being
right.
in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just to draw a connection with them. And then, that was great. But then I had this desire where I wanted to connect with young girls.
Okay.
And so that's one of the things that I want to do from this book. Is I don't feel like it stops here. I did have a plan, like, once I get to this point, what am I going to do? And yesterday, yesterday, I had I have a lot of clients that are in the, you know, school system,
Yeah.
but they're also principals. Yesterday, I had one of the principals. She's not my client, but she's been a client of the salons that I've been around. She contacted me, was like, I want you to come to my school, talk to the kids. We can do this. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, God, you're unraveling this. And so I'm just so excited about that. I'm excited about that. And so before I tell y'all where y'all can find me at, guess what, y'all? I got my book. It's in the flesh. Oh, let me bring it over here. I'm excited.
Wait. I'll hold it. You talk about it.
Okay. So, first of all, I'm Danielle C. Giddens. I am the author of From Poverty and Prison to Purpose, where I have gone through. It's a journey of freedom, discovering your freedom. That's my subtitle. And so I just want to say, while she's holding the book, that this is my midwife, y'all. I just want to say that I'm so grateful to God. And I'm going to make sure that I don't cry at this moment, but I'm so grateful to God. I'm a twin. I have a twin brother. I've always wanted a sister, but I never had a sister. But God blessed me with the best sister-in-law love that I could ever ask for. And I'm a strong person, y'all. Strong. But when my twin brother was in a hospital and my knees was about to buckle and I didn't know who to call, ain't know who to talk to, the Lord told me to call her. And she go to sleep early. I don't know why he told me to call her. But she woke up and she prayed over me. And it was the most powerful prayer. And I will never forget that. It stayed. That was one of those things where I'm like, she was a godsend. So she has been my doula and my midwife through every process of birthing this book. So when I got to certain processes, I was calling her, she was answering, and I just want to say thank you, sis. I love you and I appreciate you so much.
You too.
All right, y'all.
This powerful, amazing. Yes. Listen, I'm gonna put this up book. Y'all gotta get this book. Isn't she beautiful?
Oh,
look at that.
God. That's my baby. That's my new baby. She gonna help the world. She gonna help the young girls. Yes. She gonna help a lot. She gonna free a lot of people.
So this is one of your assignments. Right? Yeah. Right. Because this amazing, powerful woman of God, listen, y'all say yes. One of the things that she talked about earlier is how she said yes. And we just need to say yes. We need to say yes to whatever it is that God has for us. Yes. We don't know everything. We don't know, right? We don't know all the plans. And we just need to say yes and let God do what he's going to do through us. So they can find this book on.
Actually, well, it will actually, this week, we are launching when this book is, the pre-sale for this book is actually going to come out this week. And I'm not for sure which day, but if you follow me on Danielle C. Giddens page, it's a business page. If you go to that page, like that page, and I'll tag it on inside of the comments. Hopefully I know how to pin it inside the comments. But anyway, I'll tag it from that business page. You can click a link to sign up for my launch list and you'll get all of the details. The details come out through email prior to anything that happens. So that's the great thing about joining my launch list, is that you'll have privy information to stuff that I don't even talk about. And then you could also find me on Instagram, Danielle C. Giddens on Instagram. And so just follow me. I'll release that on November the 1st. That's my birthday, and that's my launch party where I'll be doing a book signing at my salon, 9433 Carmen Brook Road in Owens Mills, Maryland. If you go to my page, you'll be able to see the the invitation for that party. So it's 9433. There you go, Common Brook Road. Um, yeah, so I'm excited. Y'all connect with me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. If y'all know any young person in your family, in your life, that we as adults know how we could, life can deter us or get us off track from when we come into our womanhood as teenagers. And so, one of those videos when I said I was 18 and I moved with a drug dealer, I when I wrote this book, I couldn't imagine this stuff happening to my kids. So it I had to heal from that. Like the impact didn't hit me until I realized, like, I can't imagine my daughter's going through this. So I don't want our daughters to go through that.
Yes,
I don't want our daughters to be a part of the statistics, where they lose their future or they get deviate from it or something, bad happens to them, in dealing with people that don't mean them any good or lifestyles that don't mean them any good. So, and there are a bunch of them, but right now I'm speaking on the one that I know about.
Yes.
And so I would like for you guys to follow me because this book will be released on Amazon this week. And you guys are going to be pressing a button and ordering it for your young ladies and even the men.
Yes.
So that they can know how to treat their daughters.
So thank you so much for sharing with us, Jacqueline. She has been on. She says she has just signed up. We have Nakia. Hey, Nakia.
Hey, Nakia. How you doing, girl?
We have Keisha Mills. Hey, Keisha.
Hey, Keisha Mills.
Yes.
And
Jaton. We have Jaton.
Hey, Jaton. If you actually, if you go on, once we do the pre-sale and you order your book from off of Amazon, it doesn't matter. You can bring your book to the book signing with you if you order it before then. So, I know y'all can't wait to get this book and read all of that.
I can't wait to read mine.
Well, actually, that's her book. This is her book. She didn't know that. I was leaving it for her.
So Jacqueline said, great show. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Jacqueline. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Keisha. She always have that funny stuff on there.
She always do.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
See y'all.
Oh, Sister Lolita, how are you? How are you?
Lolita. Y'all can watch the replay.
Yes. Bye-bye, family.
Bye.